Thank you, Mr. Breedlove, for joining us today. We are so excited to honor you as our Alumni of the Year. Can you tell me what you studied at Long Beach and what year you graduated?
I graduated with my bachelor's in business administration with a concentration in marketing in 1983. I then came back and got a master's in public administration in 1993.
Wonderful. What were some of the factors that contributed to you going into public service with your role as a peace officer?
Well, both of my parents were public servants. My dad worked for the probation department, and my mother worked for the Department of Public Social Services. When I graduated from college, I had a degree in marketing, and I had a lot of opportunities to work in the private sector. But I also was working part-time with the California Youth Authorities while I was going to school, and immediately upon graduation, they offered me a full-time position at a higher rate. So I ended up starting out at the California Youth Authorities in Chino.
And tell us about your time as CEO of the Rosewood Residential Facilities.
Well, my mother, after she finished her career in public services, went into the board and care business, where she pretty much was providing food, housing, and care for the adult mentally ill. So at that time, when I graduated and I initially got married, my wife and I at the time, we decided to open residential care facilities. So we had kind of started with one, and we ended up having 5 community-based residential care facilities where we house, fed, and oversee the provision of services for the adult mentally ill. And it was a very, very stable business for over 20 years until my wife got sick and passed away. And then I decided to pivot away from that business, continue to keep the properties, but just rented them out and resource them. Yeah.
What was your initial mission with this role?
Well, we had a daughter that was handicapped, and one of the things we knew that she was tremendously blessed to have a home where she could be taken care of and have, the provision of care and oversee the delivery of services. So we kind of wanted to provide that kind of safe, home-like environment for the mentally ill population. So that's kind of what we did. And it just grew into a labor of love.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What caused you to go into real estate?
Well, real estate was, for me, the goal for quite a long time. I had read several articles while in college about transgenerational wealth and the disproportionate impact that had in black communities. So I decided real early that I was not only going to get into real estate with reference to owning it, but I also wanted to be a broker so that I can help facilitate other people acquiring real estate and ultimately acquiring wealth that's transferable. So for me, it was more than just a job. It was almost like what I wanted to do as my mission.
Building general wealth is very important in our community.
Yeah.
Can you name a few of your lifetime goals or achievements?
Well, I think when I was younger, my goals were more objective, like get a nice house and get a nice car and have a certain amount in the bank. And as I was blessed to acquire those things pretty young and I matured, my focus shifted. And so my goals and achievements became not so much a product of me or what I acquired, but more a product of what I can do and give back to others, how I could impact others. So most of my goals for probably the last 3 decades have been really an equation of what I can do and how I can impact others.
Yes. And you've had a very diverse career. What would you say has been the most rewarding position you've been in?
Well, without exception, what I'm doing now the last 14 years has been my most rewarding. So I've been retired 14 years just to do what I want to do. And I kind of immersed myself in giving back to the community. So we were able to take this nonprofit that we do and raise millions of dollars in scholarships for African American males, but several other millions of dollars in programs benefiting the African American community. So for me, that is the most rewarding thing, and it's almost ironic that I find that I work harder now for free than I did when I was working either for the state for the benefits and the retirement package, or for myself to acquire individual wealth.
Can you talk a little more about your nonprofit and some of the programs you funded?
Okay. Well, I'm the executive director and president of the Bridge Builders Foundation. And the Bridge Builders Foundation targets the African American community. We provide mentoring, we provide educational support. We have a year-round STEM academy where we provide education, hands-on experience, and field trips for African American kids. And then we have a scholars program where we provide post-secondary support through the form of scholarships for African American males. And we also provide them with mentors, coaching, and career support. We've grown now to a level where we have over 700 kids that participate in our programs year-round. We've grown from an idea and a random act of kindness kind of approach to a multi-million-dollar a year organization. So it's been a blessing, and it's been a journey, but it's so great now to see the fruits of all the efforts coming to realization through our organization, but also through the young people that have come through our program and now are doing meaningful things in the world.
Awesome. Who has been your biggest advocate, mentor, or motivator?
Well, I don't know if there's any single one person that I can reflect upon, but I can reflect on I've been the beneficiary, I've benefited from several community champions. I always sought out men who had the attributes that I aspired to be, whether they were a great provider, whether they were well-respected men within the community, whether they were financially successful. And I tried to sponge off of all of them different aspects to make me a good person. And I think what I found was universal was there is a spirit, especially a spirit upon black men, to reach back and nurture younger black men who are hungry and who are sincere. And I think the one thing that I always kept a hold of was being sincere and being hungry. And that's kind of what this whole bridge builder, concept is about. We actually named the foundation after a poem, and the poem is about an old man who crosses across a river, and rather than to go on, he comes back to build a bridge for young people that may have to follow behind. And that's kind of the concept that I try to live by. I always say that we have to be able to lift as we climb, but we also have to humble ourselves to push as well. So that's always been a value that I held near and dear.
Yeah. What does it mean to be a community leader or advocate to you?
Well, it is a community leader and advocate is a very, very important thing. One of the things that I talk to, and I still talk to a lot of my peers as we were continuing to benefit from the sacrifices of those that came before us, is that it is a moral imperative, for black men to not just do well, but to come back and be involved in defining our problems and framing our solutions. Too often we get up and get out and leave our communities subject to the benevolence of others. And we have these outsiders that come in, and some willingly, some unwillingly, but they misdefine our problems, and they certainly don't frame our solutions that are long-term. They have a quick fix approach to rising us out of our circumstance. So it's incumbent upon all of us that have done well to go back and not just give back, but be part of the long-range solution of our people. Because a lot of things that we acquire were because folks forsake opportunities for their own individualness for the greater of the collective of our people. So it's important to me to be a community servant in that level, not just giving up my time, but giving up my access, and also forsaking some of the fruits that I could otherwise benefit for, understanding the impact and the significance it has in my community. And oftentimes that means going against opportunities. Sometimes, I laugh, I tell my son this all the time, being woke is costly, because sometimes being woke, it instills in you, it compels you to act. When you know better, you must do better. Yeah. And it's hard to see things and systemic and structural and microaggressions and the things that happen in our community and be silent about it, even if you are not subjected to it. When you see it happen, it's important that you do something about it. So as a community servant, a community leader, you have to humble yourself and not be mercenary in what you're doing and really be willing to give back to the community. So it's an extra challenge and an extra burden in the Black community because it's a moral obligation for us to lift up our people.
Yeah. How would you define excellence?
Well, for me, excellence is never just an attainment. I think it's a striving. I don't think you ever truly reach excellence. It should always be something that you're always striving for. You have incremental goals, and as you reach them, you should always be striving for additional goals, if not for yourself, if for others. If not for others, immediately is your community. And I think as long as you stay hold to that striving and don't fixate on a objective definition of excellence, then you will live an excellent life.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
What do you think the biggest factor is when it comes to increasing the educational success for people of color?
Well, we are brilliant people. And I think when we engage our young people, one of the things that we have to do is teach them the utility of the education they pursue. And not just how much they make or how much dollars, but they need to know its relationship to the overall mobilization of our people. When you really talk about for an under-resourced community, getting a job does not just elevate that person, it elevates everybody around them. It elevates more likely the children that they're gonna have. It is more than just an individual movement. It is a movement of a community. So I think what we need to do is, there's been a new push at not really educating our young people on their true legacy and their true history, and they blend it and water it down. But we need to educate our young people, not in isolated incidents, but as a progressive struggle, so they understand that they are part of that progressive struggle, and their accomplishments and their conquests are not theirs, but they're for their people. And I think when we empower our young people with a greater understanding of not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it, and not only how it impacts them, but how it impacts their household, those around them that may be influenced by them, their future generations who are going to benefit from the access and the rewards they have. That is the greatest need in our community, instead of allowing us to believe that we're included in something that's not really designed for us.
Yeah. Our theme for the gala this year is legacies and leadership. Can you talk a bit about what that means to you?
Well, I don't want to be corny, but the saying where we stand on the shoulders of giants is so apropos. All of what I've accomplished, all of what I see a lot of people accomplish are on the shoulders of folks that sacrificed and gave up opportunities so that we can be. And it's a terrible tragedy to see people achieve individual accomplishments and then say, look at me, because that's the greatest disservice and dishonor to those people who sacrificed, who boycotted, who picketed, who were beaten, some were lynched, so that we could have an opportunity to even be in the arena. And not to say that the field is a level playing field, but certainly I recognize that they were predecessors, and some of my ancestors may have been more skillful and more deserving than me, but didn't even have the opportunity. So it's my responsibility to pave the way for those as a leader that come after me, so that they can really have, we talk about a sense of agency, and that sense of agency, that anything that they aspire to be, they can be, and their life trajectories won't be pivoted down because of fear, apprehension, or racism, or lack of resources, or homelessness, or poor education, and all of the barriers that exist that are all somewhat due to, racial preference and racial deprivation. So as a responsible leader, we have a responsibility to, in honor and deference to those that went before us, to bring forth the best we can, to cultivate relationships, to give back in resources, to champion for causes, and even sometimes to fight, and advocate for folks and for things that may not really impact you.
What does it mean to be a Black scholar to you?
Well, I think each of us should always, all of our life, be a Black scholar. We should all be striving and learning about our past, about our present, about our future. In our young people, basically, we are preparing these young people as a warwood warriors. And we're preparing these young people to be resources and competitive in a society that that the consequences have generational ramifications. So it's more than just books. It is cultural, it's social, it's emotional, it's relationships. To be scholarly is more than just one defined discipline. And I want our young people that we engage to be brilliant scholars, but I want them to be even more brilliant people.
Yes. Can you share a piece of advice that was given to you as a student that stuck with you?
I think, without exception, in my business courses, one of the things that resonated most with me and probably has driven me was the concept of replication and leverage. We give the example in one of our financial engagements. We talk about being a product versus being a consumer. And we give the example of Shaq or Kobe or Kareem. They were awesome products and they made great money. But the Bus family, they were the creator of that, and ultimately Jerry Buss or Jeannie Buss probably can't dribble a ball, but their wealth continues to go from generation to generation because they were the creator. When I say consumer, I probably meant the creator, because the consumer is actually the people that come and pay the tickets for the product, but ultimately the ones that make the money, are the creators. And just want our people to stop seeing themselves as products, stop aspiring to be products, stop being captive consumers, and start taking roles and owning businesses and controlling their community, and through multiplication, getting wealthy.
Yeah. All right, and our final question, how excited are you for the Black Alumni Scholarship Gala?
I am very excited and honored to be acknowledged and recognized. Personal acknowledgement, not something I yet generally seek, but certainly it is a great feeling to be thought of in such a way that someone would feel I'm worthy of being honored, because I don't see myself really in that light, but I'm certainly excited. I'm excited if I can in any way be a ray of encouragement for young people that come after me, if I can be a reinforcement for those that came with me, and I can stimulate someone to give back, because the biggest thing that I would say to those who even came with me and before me and have benefited tremendously from the things that education and access can buy is that it is it's incumbent upon us to give back.
Well, thank you, Mr. Breedlove, for joining us today. I've had a great time interviewing you.
Thank you.